I'd like to call this meeting Tuesday, March 5th, of our Lord, to opening at 9. It says 9, and that's confusing. It's 9 o'clock. I thought it was 10 o'clock. Okay. So the meeting is called for order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Oscar,
Yes.
Steve, Davis is absent. Preston. Absent. Mike,
Here.
Tom.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, so any action we can take can be approved today. We have to thank you for coming. Action items, water advisory committee.
I can give you a summation of what we talked about yesterday. We had a bit of a light day in respect to what was on the agenda. We talked about the possibility of bringing conservation to the kids at a school level, educating them to get their parents involved in it. We had 4 agenda items. One was what do we bring to public works? So that kind of takes care of that. But the other 3, we had problems since some folks were out. We didn't get production. How do we share info with others? Where do we find 200 million gallons of water? We didn't get a list of high-end user info. I did not know what was meant by existing wells in the city. Kind of some gray area there. I didn't know if that was referencing.
City Park and Cemetery.
Okay, then
Okay, yeah, we were on 2 different,
yeah.
he thought it was city parks and cemeteries, and I actually thought it was some of what Charlie Wilson was talking about, the
Old system.
the old system, and
Brutality.
why we're not tapping into some of that. Charlie Wilson, you touched base on that in his presentation
Yes.
today.
And so those we didn't talk about, but then we had a presentation regarding landscaping by Kelly and Lon. And so that is pretty much a summation of yesterday's.
Do you make any recommendation to the public works committee? Doing something that should go forward to the city council?
Well, I have some on this landscaping permit, but are you representing that to Public Works?
Yes, that is C.
Okay,
I haven't seen the ordinance
Yeah.
update. That would be the recommendation that we consider taking to. the
Yeah,
city
well, I'll
council.
present the ordinance for whatever you guys would like to recommend, not recommend, push off.
Okay.
Pleasure of the committee.
Thank you, Mike. Do Richard have anything additional you want to add on that?
No, we're good there.
Speed bump, my favorite topic.
So I know Oscar would like us to do the speed bump process a little bit different. One of the things I talked to the chief about was doing, they have the cameras or the radars that they can do traffic studies with. So the chief's gonna work on getting a quote for that, and we can put those in the areas where they're requested. And then the second part is they send it into planning and zoning, and Kelly will send out the notice cards to see who would object of the speed bump or be in favor of. And that's kind of where we're at with that subject.
I guess I'm just, and the reason I have an issue with speed bump the way I just feel like they're just arbitrarily placed. And even though there's some requests coming in, but we have a lot of speeding down First and Second Street at the red lights. And if we use a speed bump to stop people from speeding, then why don't we have them on the highway? We can't do that because that's a public highway, state highway. And I think the police department should be more involved with that process. That's the reason I have a little bit of thing. I think the chief and his staff should do the traffic study and make recommendations.
Yeah, and because they are short staffed, we're looking at a device to help them do that study.
Okay,
And so that's kind of where we're at. We don't arbitrarily put them out. People request them, we send it to Kelly, she sends letters out to the community in that area who would be in favor or not in favor of it. And if we get more in favor of it, that's when we put them down.
And that's one, I just don't want to beat that horse to death, but it's just, I'm just saying we have a process. Cause when that lady came to, which is her right to voice her opinion, I felt like she was shooting, and I take it personally, cause she's in my district. And she lives right in Grove and I represent that area. And I never heard her say anything about speed bumps to no council person in that district. And if she came, and maybe she didn't have to, but I think that's one of the things I was upset with, the fact that all of a sudden we got a speed bump because of resident complaint. So
That one, we had multiple, right, Steve? We had multiple people complaining on the Globe area.
You got a natural speed bump right there anyways. That dip in the road. I'm telling you, if you hit that thing at that dip, at road speed, it jerks my steering wheel on my truck.
what, on Globe?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
One other problem that I have with speed bumps, that one in particular, is to safely approach that speed bump, what, about 15 miles an hour? To safely hitting
I
on.
think,
four wheels.
I think a lot of it's gonna depend on. What's a nice way to put,
Common sense.
how your vehicle is, whether you've got adequate suspension that's doesn't need repaired, replaced in the first place, whether it's been altered. I mean, I can go over it in this Expedition at 25 and it's not that bad. I go over it in my pickup at 25 and it feels like it's gonna toss the back end over the hood.
Right.
But the big thing is my big issue with that one on Globe isn't that there's a speed bump on Globe, it's the proximity to that intersection with Chicago.
That's
I think it needs to be north of that intersection if it's gonna be there.
that too, but to me, with a speed bump, you're trying to maintain the posted speed limit of the traffic.
Right. And if you go over it at that speed, then it should be smooth. And I don't know enough about speed bumps to. But my understanding is that if you go over it at the speed limit, it should be smooth.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to brake for the obstruction in the road that should be, you know. I always put myself in the mindset of a total stranger to our neighborhood and how they're going to handle the speed limit on I or them bumping. We know that this stuff is there, and we know that on I, you're supposed to do 25 miles an hour. But it's not posted northbound on I, westbound, whatever, however that's laid out. Coming off of a 35 mile an hour road. So I always put myself in the position of someone that doesn't know the neighborhood. Is this gonna be something safe to do? And
Right. And it's
And in
one of
the
those
fall.
things I noticed this morning coming in to work is. This new unit I have has the display of what's supposed to be the speed limit. On the dash, and it's wrong.
wrong, high or low?
On Globe, it's high, it says it's 35 on Globe, and it's not, it's 25.
Well,
If you're coming down D, it says it's 30 when it's 35. And there's just a lot of them, they're off, and I don't know how we can get that fixed.
I know growing up, that Globe was 35.
And that.
It was 35.
Because it was on the edge of town.
It's a wider,
It was what Kilgore is.
Yeah.
Kind of like Kilgore is 35,
yeah,
but like on D, we have two different speeds, 35 and 25, well, three. 35, 25, and 15,
Yes,
and
Right,
but when it's flashing, but we've had two, basic two on that. and-
one's right there in our business.
Right in your business.
Yeah.
Well, I come down to common sense, you see something in the road, you should look out.
Well, yeah.
but it's
fair
hard,
enough.
it's hard when most people are driving like this.
That's
They got their cell phone in their hand.
You can't fix stupid.
No,
But
you can't.
okay, I agree with you to a degree, but I'm driving normal. And these two drivers are out in front of me. And when this driver who doesn't know our area
Slaps.
oh my gosh, because I got a sign that's 20 feet away from the obstacle. And I gotta hit the brakes, then she hits the brakes and then we're then it's a cascading event. We've created a road hazard.
Which is why I think it needs to be moved to the other side of that intersection, so that traffic coming on. And it's,
And it really don't matter where you place them, they're not gonna be dangerous to the sign.
And the situation, coming in.
Yeah.
Situation coming into Globe is, it's kind of unique, because quote unquote, the bus drivers normally come down Dallas. And we come into Globe, you know, the cheap one, right there, that speed bump is waiting on us. And I watched some cars coming down 25 miles an hour and 25 miles, and then they slow down, and we don't stop, so we have 2 stop signs, that's 1, 2. And Dallas and Chicago, right? And so that's 2 stop signs we make, and then that bus, believe it or not, it's long. And we stop there, and there's a car coming 25 miles an hour, then they slow down to go with the speed bump. They create a hazard for us. That's why I'm upset with it, because it's right there where we have to integrate into the street. Right. So I think the placement of it's what I was worried about, not about the speed bump being on Globe, but the placement of it is kind of, to me, was arbitrarily dropped. And maybe it wasn't, but it appears to be that way. And so I guess we can beat this horse to death, but Chief, you're gonna make the recommendation?
like I said, if I had any recommendations, it'd be to move it to the north side of that intersection with Chicago. Because of traffic merging on, and I sat there for a while and watched. And people come up and it's only slowing people down for the speed bump.
Right.
And unfortunately, we don't have the staff to sit and monitor Globe all day long, or anywhere in town for that. But I just think it creates an undue risk by its current location. Because of people coming up and they're doing 35 miles an hour. And they see the speed bump and they hit the brakes, and then we got people waiting to merge on. And as soon as that vehicle passes, it's just far enough that the vehicle passes them before they come off of Chicago on the Globe to go south. And they're looking at the back end of the vehicle pretty much stopped in front.
That's a good recommendation, Steve and Sarah and Chief, look at that.
Yeah.
And I think it could be something that can be adjusted and served like those two cities.
You know, and you know, as far as speed bumps go, I think they are a great thing, especially in residential areas. You know, if you're looking at a residential area and we can put speed bumps in there. Amazon from Chicago to the high school is one where I think it would be a huge benefit. Yeah, in there, because we got high school kids who aren't paying attention when they're going down that street, and they're being high school kids.
We gotta sit on it.
You got a set on Amazon?
Listen to the field house.
Yeah, but I'm saying between Chicago and Knoxville, like El Rancho back to the east, that would be a good place for them, I think. We do get lots of complaints about the speeders down there. The issue for us are these residential streets are really hard to commit traffic enforcement on because of the widths of the street. You have to be at an intersection to turn around, or you got to try to make a 3-point turn in heavy traffic, such as in the morning when school's getting going, to try to turn around and go get them. It's that, I mean, it's just always there. It's a 24/7 solution that is going to hopefully work. Or people are gonna tear up their vehicles by going over them too fast. That's on them. But
I saw one speed bump that's wider than the one on the road. Where is that located? It's on
Front Eastern.
in front of Eastern. So that one there seemed to be more compatible than the one we got on Globe. That's the Rabbit Library. Yeah, that's what. And it's wide, it's 6, and then there's one over by KNW, they're wide. Is that an extra expense?
Those ones are made by contractors, they don't, you can't buy those,
Okay,
they're made by contractors.
so we'd have to order
You have to make them.
to make them. Okay. I was just thinking you put two together, I guess you can't do that.
Well, you can.
Two together would, I mean, if you really wanted to slow some traffic down. Well, I'll tell you what, back-to-back bumps and offset that brake. Because if my suspension goes in my truck, it's gonna be on the right side, cause I lay my tires right through that brake.
Well, we really want something done, I can put a 5-inch for the speed bumps.
5 inches, what, okay, that's height.
I,
Right now, we use 2, but if you really want to slow down, you might.
Poor Sarah phone would be ringing off the hook if we put 5 inches. She'd be getting, why are you doing that? We got potholes all over town, and they're 5 inches deep. I would not recommend that, would you? But think about widening it, and that'd be an option, like the one they got at the university. Well, we can beat that horse all the way around and still have speed bumps. And thanks, Chief, for the recommendation, and Sarah, Steve, satisfied the lady and satisfied the city.
Can't do both.
You were satisfied this city councilman if you moved it north. Because I just worried about it being right there at Chicago and Dallas.
Well, if our goal is to make everybody happy, we have the wrong.
Right, that's not the right approach.
Our goal needs to be what is best for public safety, what's best for the public interest as a whole, not what's best for any one of us. If it were that way, I'd have a whole slew of recommendations.
So you feel that your recommendation will satisfy the populace?
I think it's in the interest of public safety because I do see that its current location is a risk that we can avoid by simply moving it to the north side of that intersection. That should still provide what the residents are asking for. And it's gonna do away with the risk because Dallas doesn't have the traffic flow that Chicago does.
Right. So I don't think we need an action on that, do we, Sarah? It's just a recommendation, a report from the chief of police that he recommended we go north with the speed bump moving it north. Do we need that, you guys wanna vote on that, or do you wanna just leave it like it is?
I'm okay with it like it is, but I did have one other question on the process.
Okay.
The appeals process, how does that work? The appeals, like if I put in and this is kind of personal, but I think it goes without saying. I put in a request for speed bumps. And the request was denied. What does a citizen do if they strongly feel that their need is greater than the denial? What do they do to try to appeal that decision?
Bring it back to Sarah.
Just bring it back to Sarah?
And with our photo enforcement cameras, the way the ordinance was written was that the revenue from the fines is to go towards traffic safety concerns. So in the future, once those get running, it can be used to help pay for the cost of these speed bumps. Additional lighting, lights, signage, all that kind of stuff. I mean, we've talked about, we tried to get the state to make 3rd and Chicago a 4-way stop, and they wouldn't. But we can try to add additional traffic safety things there for crosswalk. We can try to get flashing lights where they can hit the button, then it's gonna tell them, hey, there's people on the crosswalk.
Yeah.
So that's the whole intent of why we wrote the ordinance the way we did and presented it. Approved was that fund would grow so that it could be used for these types of things.
I think that we don't need to take this to city council. It's a committee recommendation and we can operationally. I just hate to see Sarah get bombarded with a lot of phone calls.
Because that one, if we pull it back up, the speed bumps are done. you can't reuse it. Cause they got a 2-foot stake in them, that wall, it's just rubber, so once we pull it up,
How much are they?
$100 a piece.
$100 a piece? I tell you what, I'd donate the $100 for a speed bump, if you gonna put it up.
But,
I'll donate.
Yeah,
Honestly.
Yeah.
Well, I'll donate the $400 if that's what it takes. I think that we always have to say, hey, we can't do this. I'll donate the $400. For the speed bump, if you pull it up and move it over there, I'll donate the $400. Cause I think that's a needed thing to be done. And so send me the bill and I'll pay you for it. Okay. Order update.
Perfect, so I think almost everybody's heard this already, but I'm getting better with the presentation. So I was requested that we update chapter 16.5, which are landscaping regulations, we do an amendment, so this is the landscaping regulations that was put in place in 2011 that requires all new development to do xeriscaping to some degree. The enforcement part wasn't very strong, we'd have to go through courts to rather have them do a $500 fine or do up to 19 bail if they refuse a xeriscape. Which anyone knows how our court goes, it takes a very long time for that to get through, so it hasn't been heavily enforced. So one packet is how it is now, the smaller packet is just the sections that we amended. Really, what we amended were the landscape requirements to leave up for at the end council to see if they'd like to up the percentage that needs to be xeriscaped, lower it or keep it the same. We just updated the ornamental water features. We did the administration update to match the new enforcement and everything. Of course, the enforcement itself has been updated to $25 a day fine. But they get a 30-day month to rectify the situation. So the fines don't start, they get a 35-day warning, 30-day warning, if they don't do it. We have $25 a day for water bill. So then the city can enforce it versus having to go through the courts and hoping a judge will uphold the condition. So we're seeking one to submit these ordinances to you guys, for you to look over. And then if you'd like to make any changes to the amendment part, let us know. But since we're also updating the whole ordinance in its entirety, if you'd like to see changes made to the custody ordinance that we did not cover, we can do that as well. This one's vote or recommendation will carry heavier because you are part of the appeal process. So if this is how it's always been, if we say, no, we don't accept your xeriscape, they would like to appeal it, this is the committee that the appeal will be heard through.
Do the public works come in?
Through the public works committee. It would just be usually just the director and the appealing party would come before you, argue, and then you guys would make the decision of to uphold the planning directors saying that that's not acceptable for development, or to say, hey, we're actually gonna accept the difference to the xeriscaping policy.
And they appealed to the public works committee and they disagreed with the ruling of that committee, then they have appeal to the city council.
I believe that's how it usually goes. Yeah, the decision of the city council should be final and conclusive, so they can appeal up again.
They appeal one more, so that's, I'm just going back to due process.
Yes.
They have a second, they can go to a higher source.
Yes.
Actually, the city manager should be the one they appeal to, shouldn't he?
Not how it's currently written. It goes from appeal my decision to the planning, or to you guys, and then appeals your decision to city council.
To the city
But
council.
if that's something that you'd like to see, or you guys like to recommend, the city manager be included in that.
City manager.
I think I can.
I think that we don't want the city council committee supplanting the city manager's authority. And I think the way the code, the state law reads, the city manager administrate the city. And so I think we should always protect that.
So it would go here to the city manager, or would you like it to go to the city manager here?
I think it should go there to the city manager. And if the citizens don't like their decision, then I think they should appeal to us. I think they get triple. They have two options. Then they come here and then this committee will review it. But I think the city manager is responsible for this. Where the state law reads.
And then Mike, I did present this to the Water Conservation Board, because we know part of xeriscaping is water conservation. So these gentlemen heard it yesterday, they said you had some recommendations that you guys might like to see.
I got a list of topics. You want alphabetical or chronological?
Good for a lot of it.
I know.
On 1656, design for safety, is there,
Which page?
It's gonna be one we did review, so it'll be on the original.
Okay, you're ready.
is there any provision for screening of poisonous plants? Since we're talking about safety,
Not that the city has, they may or may not be knowledgeable.
okay,
I don't know how I would know. I have places plants in my backyard, it's not peanut butter, I can just leave that.
okay, it would not hurt to have some kind of provision. Where, if an owner sold a property and it had poisonous plants on it, the new owner needs to know. Because they can bring in humans or pets and not know. Maybe the website, state website that they're pulling these plants from, maybe they eliminate poisonous plants, but I think it warrants an investigation. On section 16.5.12, it talks about a surcharge. Is this the $25 per day penalty? Or is this a fee that is in addition to the penalty?
That is the section.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the one, on the new one, it goes to the $25 a day fee after the 30 days.
Is that the surcharge? Or is it surcharges?
The old one, correct?
Is it, it uses two languages. One is called a penalty and one is called a
Oh, yeah,
surcharge.
so subject to a surcharge of $25 fee.
So that is the same thing
Yes.
we're talking about, okay?
Before you move off that one, Mike, right, is there concern with any bill that was the other day at our meeting at City Hall or in council chamber about the $25 a day, that could add up quickly, there was some concern about that, was there any from the water group?
Not as of yet,
Yeah.
depending on some further clarification here, so.
But no, we haven't heard any, we submitted it, and then we're gonna go back to the next one there to give you their official recommendation. So they have a time or chance to read it.
Okay, on the part, that was in the section 16.5.12 part B and part C. Where you're defining the review procedure, I think it should be done in advance. I'm thinking the language. Be reviewed by multiple individuals is not cohesive enough. I think it would need to say reviewed by planning and zoning or by public works, whatever. Name who's gonna review it in advance, reviewed by the city manager, whoever it's gonna be. But multiple individuals could be the janitor and, you know,
That's right.
this one is big. And right off the bat on 16.5.4, landscape requirements. The language says applied to all residential yards. Is this definitely for new construction only?
No, well, it also covers,
It covers,
substantial changes, correct?
so, in the original section 16.5-3 applicability, it covers, where all it would be at.
Okay, I wish I could have got in on the original. Cause I think that is a can of worms, based on the 50%, if I go out into my backyard. And determine that I'm going to pull out grass and replace it, let's just say simply, with 50% rock. Or 55% rock, I've got to go down and get a landscape permit for that. Is that the truth?
So it's in, so what is the? Trying to remember this. This kicks in if you do 50% or more change into your property. So if you are. You have a current development and you're going to. Change 50% of what is it, this grass now. And you're gonna change it to more than 50% xeriscape, then yes, you can do your landscape permit.
Okay, so I got a gigantic problem with that,
Okay.
because we shouldn't be monitoring, especially in that regard. Where somebody is taking grass, converting it to, let's say, rock. Should be no business of the city. and not involve the permit, because once you involve this permit, now you're making people susceptible to fines for this or that. In the old one, there is a definition of substantial improvement. Whereas if the property is altered by 50% of market value or more, that's a lot more important. Because if you've got a house that somebody bought for 80,000, they've got to rejuvenate and make it $40,000 worth of difference. You know, that's a major remodel. Doing $40,000 landscaping on an $80,000 house.
Landscaping will improve the property value 40,000.
Right, but that provision, yeah, that provision is in the old.
Right.
Is substantial improvement is defined by that.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Yes, so. Somebody modifying their yard, especially to the benefit of xeriscaping, I don't think should be monitored at all.
Only if it exceeds that 50% of the market value. So if it's
If you're carrying over that clause, I'm good with that part of it.
no, that part hasn't been changed.
Okay,
So it's only if the substantial improvement would double that.
What if the person goes the other direction? What if they take out the road and put grass?
That's happened.
That's where we're concerned.
that's happened. And so that would bring up another question too. Okay, you go through all this process and we'll talk about the rebate here in a bit.
Right.
But you've rebated this owner and then they sell that house. It's all xeriscaped. They come in, we've got kids, we want grass. They rip out the xeriscape and put in grass. What are the provisions?
Then they
for that?
are applicable to fines. Because
Okay,
they are going against
okay,
xeriscape when there's xeriscape policies.
okay.
I got a question on that. As a homeowner in town, am I gonna have to pay for a appraisal to determine this? Or how's this gonna, who's gonna determine the property value and all this other stuff? Am I gonna have to pay for that if I wanna do that?
This,
As a president.
I can see a lot of this when we're talking about brand new construction. You got the ball in your court. If you want to build a house in this community, this is what we ask of you. And, you know, I can see that, but modifying the existing property and getting involved in the permitting, you had talked about wanting to avoid courts and all that, and I think this is just an invitation to go.
So would the Public Works Committee would like to do maybe a recommendation to remove all the language in the original and the new one about modifying previous development? I don't know if that's something that would need to go
What if we
for
just
a,
had a separate section for current? Or like for just modifying current,
yeah, but I think we'd have to have,
but we could base it off of like.
yeah, that's what they
Yeah,
recommended,
yeah.
we could, but we'd have to.
I think in protecting grace is when you say that this is based on substantial improvement. And you are defining substantial improvement as something that is worth 50% of the property value. Because that is very unlikely. And if you're gonna modify a residence to increase the property value by 50% by landscaping, it's gonna be one heck of a landscaping job, and you're literally starting over on something.
And
So I
part
could
of this
see that.
applies to is if you have, like some of our, a lot of common, dilapidated buildings. If you turn in your building permits, have your dilapidated building brought up, you could fall to your xeriscaping needs as well.
So the thought there was a total remodel of the property, not just the landscape.
Yeah, so it could
See,
be,
that's not the way I saw it. I saw it the way Mike was, you're talking about landscaping and no landscaping project's gonna improve.
yeah, so if it brings 50% of the market value of the structure,
Structure before.
You'd have
so that's
to
when you
be,
do your
you'd have to be
rebuild,
remodeling the home
Okay.
and
your
honestly,
additions, that kind of stuff.
to increase by 50%, you would probably have to be adding on.
And that's.
You couldn't even just remodel that dilapidated house probably and increase it by 50%.
And that's, some of them do, but those are like, you pretty much tear down your structure and are rebuilding.
As long as we can get some clear cut clarity that would keep that out of the courts. And on the application itself, number 3, any changes, modifications, improvement to the ground, landscape, barren area, lawn, soil, or surface to more than 50% of any lot or parcel of land, any part which is connected to the city water. There again, we could get rid of the references
Okay,
to pre-existing property. In other words, the grandfather clause. I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, on paragraph 3 of the 1653, which is what you just covered right there. and
is part of that,
Yeah, so that said,
the,
that honestly says that if I've got a barren area, like my front yard was when I brought it over. If I seeded that, I've gotta come to you guys for a permit and everything.
yeah, because that's
I
saying.
mean, even just seeding it.
Yeah, well, that's what it is here, so if the council record, you guys like to amend that stuff come out, then that would be.
Yeah.
You guys' recommendation that we can take forward.
My backyard, if I decide to improve my backyard with grass, I gotta come to the permit to do that.
That's what our current one says, yes.
Yeah, and that. It'll
So-
just stay full of weeds.
So would you guys like it completely removed, or would you guys like it to do something that still controls? You know, if someone has just a huge plot of dirt, can they put that as grass? Or is that something you guys wanna do square footage?
I don't think just allowing somebody to come in the current status we're in, there has to be some kind of limits. You're on the right track for new construction.
So would you guys like to see previous, just changing yards for certain, if you wanna do like an acre of reseeding, it has to come, or just nothing there? We just need to know what to change this.
I think if you're an owner of, let's say, and I'm not picking on any specific class of people. But if you're an owner, and I'm looking at an old house on New Mexico Drive and the guy that owns it. If you got an $80,000 to $100,000 home and you don't have time or the money to have somebody come in and rip it out and bring in rock and everything, you're gonna wanna throw some seed down. And I think that this is kind of a government overreach in my view, that you can at least just throw some seed down in your yard to get, to cover up the dirt. Until such time that you're able to save up for it, get financing for it or something. We're tying a lot of people's hands. A lot of people that don't have the
Right.
finances to.
So do you guys wanna do a yard thing where, let's say you own Rotary Park. And that was, completely barren, if you wanted to reseed all of that, is that something that'd be fine in our current one, or do you want to guys amend it by yard area? We just need to know how to find it, for your guys' recommendation.
I would focus on residences that already exist. When they convert from grass to xeriscape, I would ask the city not have anything to do with that.
That'd be
Yeah.
okay, but then they wouldn't qualify for the rebate.
But we're gonna talk about the
Okay.
rebate here in a second.
Okay,
So-
the rebate would have to be involved.
You have
Okay,
to,
Zero.
because you use
But
the
they might not apply for a rebate, they might just do it.
Yeah, but if they don't apply for the rebate, that's fine.
And I agree with Mike, there's no need to stick our nose into it if you're going to break down.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, if
Yeah.
you want the-
Yeah,
if you want the other
Be
direction,
separate for, if you're trying to get a rebate, have one
Yeah.
that's specific to that.
yeah, if you want for a rebate.
But I am concerned about people going the other direction, taking zero scape to grass.
So-
Well, what if it's zero scape with native grass that you don't water and everything else? Because here's the other thing, if you plant like that buffalo grass, you're supposed to let it grow. You're not supposed to keep it cut short, you're supposed to let it grow. And that's something you're not watering, and things like that, so then we're gonna have another code enforcement issue, because you need to mow your lawn. Because we're trying to get you to do native grass that you don't have to water.
We shouldn't get a code enforcement from both. Someone like, there shouldn't be a code enforcement.
But if the
But it's
code
not
reading is over
specific.
12
Something
inches.
has to be
it has
added,
to
yeah.
get-
It's
If
not
it's over
specific,
12
so-
inches, it has
So
to
as we go, to look at this, we gotta look at what else is affected by it. Because if we're doing things like that, your grass is too long, well, it's supposed to be long, it's buffalo grass. Where we're gonna tie into the other one because. My neighbor with all his weeds that are 6 feet tall. Is gonna come and say that it's not fair because my grass is 2 foot tall.
But that buffalo grass qualifies as zero scape.
Not according
versus
to.
noxious weeds.
But currently, the way our code enforcement, it's a grass and it's.
And it need to be cut.
So
What's
it's,
that, 10 inches?
That's 12.
Is it 12?
Yeah.
so I mean,
So we could add.
we're just gonna have to be
something
careful to look at the other affected, and I'm just saying, these are. You know, and coming from the world where if there's an argument to be made, somebody's gonna do it. You know, try to prepare for those potential things, so we might wanna look at the specific wording of our current. Code enforcement ordinances as well as this stuff when we're talking.
I would like to look at my neighborhood in Amazon. From the highway, Amazon north, not Amazon the south. If you go from the Chinese, we got a business, then we have the holders, then we have grass, you know. The ordinance, we shouldn't tell them how they should maintain their yard. And then that's what I'm saying. Cause on the other side of the street, those folks, they just gonna get out, they self-doers. They take care of their own property and they landscape according to their budget. And one lady, she puts roses down. Another across the street, she got, this lady has in a wheelchair, all she grows is roses and what's the big plant? She just hides her yard with it. And we shouldn't tell them how to do that.
Yeah, and our current one, we wouldn't tell them unless they know they cover more than 50% of their yard with roses.
Right.
So like small changes like that wouldn't come down on your landscape unless it was more than the 50%.
So who's gonna enforce this?
So it'd come up to actually, code enforcement and planning and zoning, so a lot of it's complaint based.
Complaint based,
I mean, we see it happening, we catch it in the act, but a lot of it's complaint based.
complaining about me having weeds in my yard.
But she does control, but stuff like this where it's actually building stuff or adding on, usually it's the neighbor calls and says, hey, he's doing this, he get a permit, and we're like, oh, we'll go check it out.
I know my neighbor will become Oscar, he got mustard growing in his front yard, yeah, by design. I don't wanna cut it.
So, going the other direction, somebody planning on putting grass, that's not too wise because we're on a water restriction. So I think that kind of takes care of itself. You know, but you're not gonna be able to grow grass. So going that direction, I don't think it's something to worry about. But when you get to the rebate, man, I have squealed louder than anybody about giving money for conservation. But in this case, $2 a square foot is pretty substantial. When you're talking about, let's say, just a 30 by 30 backyard, you're talking about $1,800 in compensation there. Doesn't even count the front yard. And I mean, we're paying $20,000 for software to find us new money. And then we're creating an ordinance to give it away. And additionally, it seems like we're paying somebody for something that we're mandating anyway. If you build a new house, you've got to landscape this way. Well, by the way, here's $3,600 for following our rules.
So this wouldn't apply to new construction.
New construction.
This is if, like, my house is already, so this is bad one, chief, are you zero escapes? So chief, as a homeowner who already decides to zero escape, then he applies for a rebate. So then that's when the landscaping will get involved, we'd see what it can look like beforehand and then afterhand. And if you zero escapes, then you get your rebate.
The way it was presented Saturday, it's based on the square footage of your home.
No, it's a square footage that's, zero escape, other than zero escapes.
I didn't think.
See, like, that's what-
Saturday.
Like my
I was
yard,
gonna say that gets real crazy because.
Oh, yeah,
my
no.
house is a lot bigger than what I'm gonna zero escape. I'm gonna come out making money.
Yeah, no, so it's zero escapes and the $2 is what we just found as an average. It's up to council and you guys, if that's something you'd like to keep lower. We just put it in there because that's what the.
How do they get that back? How do they
It's in the
get?
water bill.
It's in the water bill.
I just get, for example, my front yard is 1,000 square feet, basically. It's two little patches, it's 1,000 square feet. So I would get, once I show, they come take pictures before I do it, they come back after, and I've got a circle drive and no grass. Then I would get $2,000. on my water bill.
On your water
Credit
bill
toward my-
over a period of
Oh, oh,
time.
oh.
Yeah, it's a one time, so don't have to keep up with
It's
it.
just a credit, so I would have to pay a water bill. 2 years.
Okay,
that's
that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
One-time credit,
Yeah,
and so what now it's at, he's at minus $1,000, next month, minus.
and then, yeah,
So I
and
would
then if
just
we
say
go
after
by
a year,
and
it would pay.
regrown thing every then we got a $2,000 fine onto your thing to pay back our rebate.
Yeah,
And that's not unusual, that's how they do energy programs.
Yes.
And statewide, is they know in Rio Rancho, they did some, I don't know if they tied it to the water bill, but they did rebate those. But most of theirs was new construction
I based a lot of this on Albuquerque.
on Albuquerque, okay, yeah.
it feels like we're inviting somebody to become involved in something. Once they become involved, then they're subject to penalties and fines. This,
They are, so if they apply for the rebate and they get the rebate and then they try to change it,
you're on your radar.
then they're
You're on
showing
out.
on the zero escape and now you're going against the zero escape ordinance, you are in compliance.
Yes, and so personally, I'm almost thinking that our conservation incentives rebates ought to be a separate issue from ordinances. And I also question whether we can afford to do this.
Well, that was part of what we brought up, pros and cons at the water conservation. Pro, long term, we get some zero escape down. Your con is if everybody gets real excited, and does this, business comes in and offers really cheap zero escape. And everybody's zero escapes, you are gonna hurt your water income for the next 1 or 2 years.
We, as it is, we don't have enough water income,
Yep, so that is one of the cons to the rebate program,
right?
so.
The incentive for xeriscaping is that the alternative is you're gonna have a dead yard. We have no water for landscaping. So I can see incentive in trying to improve the looks of your yard, increase the property value of your yard. There are incentives without, and I actually can't believe I'm saying this because
No,
I hollered loud for giving somebody, but man, our water department can't afford this,
on that,
my opinion.
and if that's the opinion, so we were requested to bring rebates, but if you guys just there go, hey, rebates aren't good, your recommendation can be, hey, let's remove the rebates for X, Y, and Z purposes.
I think that's better, because if I can hear, I know one person on council that lost their whole backyard, because I used to take care of it. And so I really remove it.
It's whatever rebate we come up with has to be equitable. Because you were talking about things that didn't apply on ordinance. We
Right.
couldn't be retroactive and other things
Yes.
if it's an ordinance. Whatever we do as far as rebates has to be equitable to every homeowner that lives there.
Right.
If they want to make an improvement that helps the city conserve water. It's just an opinion.
Well, and I think the water conservation, you guys have been there for, they discussed possibly doing like a rate structure, where if you're zero escapes, you get a percentage off for your lower rate structure. And that's something that could be done that would benefit.
I think,
That's a good.
yeah, I think so. Because this,
And it wouldn't have to be.
That's a better plan, because it not only affects me if I decide to zero escape, but the guy who just built a new house had to zero escape.
right,
Then both people benefit from the fact they have zero escape and the city benefits from it.
That
So
and
a
that,
lower rate structure, I like that.
yeah, that's.
So if I go in and spend the money to zero escape mine and I get a little bit lower rate on the water,
there's an incentive.
that's an incentive.
It
And
is.
that's a lot better incentive in my opinion. I mean, sure, I'd love to have the $2,000 that you want
Me
to
too.
hand me to help put my driveway in.
Too.
But I don't think that's best for the city, but I do like the rate structure. And maybe with the group we've got coming in, we could just suggest that that's one of the things we'd like to see. Is the rate structure study they do include a provision for
Zero escape.
a lower rate for people who have zero escape. I like that, like, I think that.
I think that's the best, because you can't go back to, like you were saying, retroactively, these people that since June, how are we going to
Oh, yeah.
credit? If there was no pictures taken of the fact that they've gone in and ripped out their lawn and put in $5,000 zero escape, they don't qualify. But as it stands right now, they don't qualify.
Ordinance
Well, I was
would be
fixing to start
They
getting,
would get ripped.
I was fixing to start getting bids on my driveway this week, and then Saturday we came up with that, I was knowing my wife.
Well, there's one
Still
even
gets
worse.
bids on your, on.
Well, not until this is settled, because I'm gonna wait till.
See if I can get rid of that, Philip.
Well, you have to see what the parameters are. Y'all gotta take pictures.
We
Yeah.
literally have,
Well, but it is a consensus that we want to take the rebate too. We'll take the rebate out of this.
Yeah, so that'll be,
Okay.
yeah, so put remove rebates on it,
Yes,
and then,
and
Discuss
worded this,
with the water.
the weight, well, we gotta be careful about that, because the advisory, water advisory don't have any authority to take that anyplace. So we, discuss with the water advisory, that have to come through this committee.
Right, the water advisory brings it here.
I mean, the one we're paying to come in and do a rate study.
Oh,
back-
I'm
Just
thinking,
because of them, we'd like for them to look at that.
yeah, the ones that come in,
Doing the rate study.
right.
But other than that, I think you're right, the water advisory committee is saying that they come up with.
Gotta come to you.
Okay, yeah, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Into this
But the
meeting.
ones that are coming in, we're paying
What?
18,000 to do a study.
But that's the one that they have the city manager come up with something, and
Right.
Kelly come up with something that they can present.
yeah, I think about people that put sod in. Then the next day or day or two later, there is a stage 3. And they lost the value of their sod, so they turn around and landscape and then miss out on this rebate. There's no explaining that to somebody
Well,
that that's happened to, and that literally has happened.
Yeah.
So I don't wanna explain
some
it.
people have already fixed their loss.
Exactly,
And they would.
exactly. Double loss.
so that's, yeah, that's right, that's why we bring it to different committees before city council,
Yeah, that's good.
To kinda get- yeah, things picked apart.
Kelly, will you go back to 16513?
Yes.
The appeal, how you gonna, we have a simple, rearrangement of the first sentence. I believe, the Public Works Committee of the city. Regarding powers of charges. Are we gonna change that to include the city manager?
Yeah, if you would like the city manager included, then we'll add her to the appeal process
Yeah, okay.
for.
That's step one.
Yeah,
That's
so we go appeal to the city manager, appeal the city managers to here, appeal here to the city.
City council.
To the city,
And the
okay.
city council,
Okay. So we're gonna redo that.
we'll add that for you, sir.
Okay.
On 16.5.4. Maybe
You
the
have the old
requirement,
one.
I was about to say, on the old one. That's the old one. Said if the following provisions are to be applied, no less than 50% of the total square footage of the enclosed land area residential and only 25 for all other uses. Why do we got such a, and I don't know, we didn't write this.
Yeah, that's just what
I
it came up for, and I'm guessing since a lot of
I think business,
businesses have bigger lands, maybe they're afraid we would chase off businesses saying, hey. We're trying to put like All Glass has a huge piece of property. It could be afraid we were making Fearscape it, but those numbers are left blank here, so if you guys.
I think
want-
that something like that should come up on, they should be able to appeal that if it's a situation, say like, oh.
Right,
But I think that, businesses should be at the same.
same as
same as
residential.
Residential, I mean.
So the word you're concerned about in that was resident.
Resident.
Yeah.
Versus commercial, because, if everybody's gonna have skin in the game, we might as well make sure that it's the same amount of skin.
For sure.
Yeah, so we kind of clarified.
Well, your
in the
business is
new
mine.
version.
Okay, that's what I was.
It has percent for front residential, back residential, and then all other developments will be commercial.
Which number is that?
That's on the,
16.5.4.
on the first.
On the new?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's left it open, they've left it open for us to do percentages.
Okay, oh, I see.
But we
Yeah.
separated it from
Parentheses.
two residential
Yeah.
and.
If you guys have a recommendation that you would like to see, if I said currently it's 50% of residential and 25% for commercial, but if you guys would like to see. That go up, go down, stay the same. You're supposed to give us a recommendation.
Which I had my notes from Mike's statement.
Was the current, I thought the current was
Was 75.
70 front yard, 30 back.
Yeah, well,
I don't think it's established yet.
So this current one is the 50-25. The one we had taken Saturday was
Oh, yeah, I remember the 100 thing, that wasn't.
Yeah, that one was, based on the ordinance we did, so we just took them out so everyone else could choose them, yeah, but, yeah, our current one is just.
And maybe it was the one prior to the current one, but there was a time when, I know when I was in construction full time, there was a time when it was 70% of the front.
It could
30% of the
be.
back.
It was updated in what, 2011?
Yeah,
That's-
so
that's-
possible.
that- Yeah, I
Yeah.
was prior to that.
Are they, yeah, so yeah, this one's 50% of your residential and 25% of your business commercial. Or not.
Because if you take a lot of the larger lots, the nicer, larger lots, there's not a whole lot of front yard compared to the backyard. So if you're talking 50% total, they're gonna have to zero save some of the back. At one point, that was left up, the back was left up.
If you look at the Thomas, just to pick on for a minute, that we shouldn't.
Your neighbors also.
Yes, yeah, you know, Julie, they've got a huge piece of property right there, then, and 90% grass, you know, so nothing happens to them, right?
No.
No, and
Only if
if
they wanted to do
and
something.
if they wanted to put a house up there and say, hey, look. This is made for like our 6,000 square foot house.
Oh,
No, they have.
they have the home.
Yeah,
They
but
have
they,
the home. I'm
but
just
they
talking
put it
about
there.
that front.
If they sell the house and the next person wants to do something.
They can.
Okay.
But let's say, for new development, if someone puts a house on a huge thing and it says, well, we need zero escape 50% of it, that's where the appeal process, we'd say, hey, Sarah, we can't accept it, this says 50%. But Sarah can look at it and go, okay, well, we can't make them zero escape 2 acres worth of land. Then they can do these lower percentages,
Right.
or you guys can approve that.
That
So
would be approved similar to a variance.
pretty much, you just go to Sarah first and she may go through the in-house approval, so it doesn't have to go through all the public hearings.
Well, on 1659 irrigation, I'm thinking about that. We talked about gray water on the new construction. Is there any kind of way we can incorporate the gray water into new, that you build a house, I don't know if it's sound like the comments here telling people what they need to do.
You just added another cost to the house, that's,
Yeah, but
it's gonna prevent it.
but is there any kind of way we have incentivize people? Recommend to them that they look at a gray water system in a new housing project? Is,
I mean, we could, I think that'd be bigger probably than the landscape ordinance, that would probably come to that. The houses.
What I was discussing yesterday, like, going in and then using like water certified faucets and showering.
yeah,
But it's not really something we can monitor because it's inside their, house.
You can always suggest.
yeah.
you can only, I mean, neither,
Yeah.
I guess
We
what I'm
definitely
saying, we
suggest
can
it,
just, that they can look into that possibility. Because some people, I know a couple of people wanna collect rainwater. And so it's just a suggestion.
My wonder, Oscar, is this, and it'll be a ways down the road, that people start putting in gray water systems. And then they start watering their yard out of the gray water that they've spent money to make the gray water system. Somebody's gonna drive by and say, they're watering, we're on restriction,
Yeah,
and they're not watering, they're using.
Yeah,
Gray water.
and
So I don't
then-
know if we have to almost have to go over the side of that, putting something in the yard.
So I-
Usually when
It's
it's
right.
last year when they came up,
That's what happens with the wells, everybody
Mhm.
drives and says, no.
that's
yeah,
what
wells.
came up last year, and so Catherine started putting on each person's account who have wells and stuff like that.
Yeah, because some people said.
But if they have a great water system, if I'm going to have me a great water system,
right,
and then I'm gonna have a green water. And people don't see my weeds turn to green overnight,
Cause I've been,
they need to know, I'll let them know that I'm not watering, but I feel putting some kind of sign out there to say.
well, we could
That's
also
how-
look at the same rebates, not rebates, some, water savings.
Water savings
You get another 5% off of zero escape and have a great water system,
process.
off your water
So
bill.
I guess what I'm just saying is any kind of way we can incorporate a conversation about gray water use.
I think so, we could definitely say, hey, Heavenly suggested new development.
Get a sheet on the back of an application. for a
Yeah, just
permit,
say-
Talk about things we would highly recommend.
Yeah.
Using our water storage.
Please do these faucets, these toilets.
Just
look
the
at
way
your
you
water
plant,
system.
you can plant these kind of plants and they save water, you can say you can use gray water, this saves water.
Yeah, we could put the recommendation in.
Right, okay, that's all, and not make it a law. 'Cause I
Yeah.
wanna be a dumbass.
Yeah, no,
The fine line that we're walking is that this whole ordinance is wordy. Any,
it is a very long word.
if you have any opportunity to eliminate the mumbo jumbo, I would recommend it. Make it more understandable. As a simplistic. And the caution would be. If we go and make this so complex and so restrictive, people are gonna do a couple of things, maybe three things. They're gonna move to Clovis in the first place. They're gonna move to the county, which some people are doing, so that they don't even have to mess with the city. And they're going to drill a well and say, well, I obviously don't fall under any of your restrictions because I have a well. So we still have to keep ourselves attractive.
But does it want to leave town because we green grass? And we'll go.
Yeah.
Are there
I mean, I've
any
seen-
restrictions on well drilling? I mean, I was shocked when I first started learning that anybody in town can drill a well. I thought you had to be in
No,
out in the country to drill a well. I didn't know people on Oklahoma Drive could drill a well. But
It's
that's
state
insane.
it's state law.
Yeah.
Every Mexican is allowed 3 acre feet of water.
We could explore if the US council could create an
It's the same
ordinance.
glass with multiple straws.
Yeah, because we're certainly not helping ourselves with 30 new wells in the last 18 months.
No, you are correct.
We are not helping ourselves.
It's coming from the same source.
Yeah.
Currently, there's nothing there, but we could explore whether we could have an ordinance that would. prevent
That's what I mean, I know Mike's concerned about over governing people, and I get that. But my gosh, people are gonna drill more and more wells. I mean, if you want a green yard, that's your easiest solution, or, you know.
Drilling
drill a
a
well.
well is, it can be bad or it can be kind of good because we're not drawing the water. If you're gonna use the same exact gallonage. But get it from a well, you're not drawing it from the same, you're drawing it from the same master source, but not the same location. That wouldn't be a bad thing. If somebody is drilling a well so they can water as they see fit and make their grass, then that is, that is a
Well, I think that's the main reason any people are drilling wells, so they can water all their wells. And I don't know why else.
That's the reason, that's the reason they stay. And I know 3 or 4 people that have their own well, and that's the exact word they use.
And they're starting to water now.
And they water their grass.
If I had that money, I'd.
I had to go down the dirt in my backyard this weekend. I mean, I was happy to go back in that house.
But let's think about, maybe that's an ordinance that's coming up in the future.
Some kind of regulation.
Regulation on something in the future, because I know the state law is already specific about what New Mexico can do.
Well, we'll look at it, we'll throw it to legal, see what we're allowed to
Yeah.
enforce and see what other cities enforce and bring it back to y'all.
including the backflow.
Like, yes,
Right,
from our stuff.
okay.
Okay, so do you guys have, while we're here, recommendations for these percentages? Percentage of front yards, percentage of regular backyards and other development.
Mike, can you recall what you said?
I think the 50-25 works. I mean, I don't have a problem with the 50-25. It was different in the past, but I agree about that. I think 50-25 works. If your front's 50 and your back's 25, I think that's.
The reason I thought I'd ask you to say that, because I think when you said that at the retreat, it went over pretty well.
Yeah, well, Mike knows what I mentioned it first, but
Yeah.
back in the day, I think it was 70-30.
50-25, I think that was
But 50-25.
universal in this
So
stuff.
50 front, 25 back.
Yeah,
Okay, how do you guys feel about the other developments, such as manufacturing and commercial?
I think commercial should be 50, Carl.
I think, yeah, 50 or higher, I think that they should be held, I don't wanna say to a higher standard, but at least equal. You know, I
And I
mean,
understand the all glass argument.
Well,
But the
that's what-
opposite argument, but the opposite
Yeah.
argument is his business and mine, where there is.
mine's
It's all
Yeah.
concrete, you know, I'm
Well,
not,
that's the good
and
thing.
I'm still paying the same basic water bill. I mean, my water bill in my office costs me more than my house, and all we do is flush a toilet twice a day. I mean.
Well, that's the good thing about Oscar's recommendation and Sarah is they can do an in-house variance. Or an in-house appeal
in-house.
for big
appeal.
businesses.
Yeah, and in everything, there's gonna be somebody that's got a different situation
Oh, yeah.
and it needs to be handled
But the other side of that coin is, and not to pick on Heather All Glass, but that needs to be maintained too. It's an eyesore.
It is,
And so I don't wanna take away regulation where she has to take care of that.
but I don't know if Heather's got it or not.
Well, I don't either, but,
No, I'm just talking about, all glass.
but that whole lot there is a.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, Danny's. I don't know if Danny takes care of the big lot in front of all glass or if Heather takes care of it.
Takes care of a lot.
Well,
Heather take care of.
She does take care of
I
it.
think
Okay, I
Danny, I
wasn't sure.
think
They
Danny,
usually have them.
Okay,
Okay, they got 50 front yard, 25 backyard, 50% for all other businesses and manufacturing.
So it's concrete considered a sewer state?
yep.
Sure.
Yeah,
Now you
no
water,
water.
water, dirt, gravel.
Dirt shouldn't be in there.
Cause that's what I'm gonna do with mine.
Yeah, it's really better. Yeah.
I'm fixing to put in a circle drive that covers my whole front yard.
Okay, perfect. So we changed those, we added the city manager, and then we took out the rebates. Was there anything? Main points I missed. The floor, the back, just one.
just know it's just,
Okay.
good stuff. So that could be, that would, we do need action on that.
We did
That is
50,
your
25, right?
Recommendation.
Yeah, 50, 25, and then 50.
25 and 50.
Okay, we have can no one make a motion to that?
I will.
Okay,
That's what we do. There's my vote.
in a second.
So stay good.
Okay, we have a motion to move it as recommended to tell it to either percentage change, 50 and 25%. And to make the motion to include commercial at 50%. So all in favor?
One question.
Yes, sir.
So that's just gonna be on the percentages. That's not gonna be on the other notes, right? Just on the percentages.
If you'd like us to accept your other recommendations to.
And to include all recommendation as discussed.
Okay.
So the motion, all against? Not hearing, so the motion carries.
And then we're bringing the intent to introduce to our next council meeting.
Yeah.
And then in 30 days on the public hearing, and then council can accept, make recommendations or so on.
Have big show.
Do you need a motion since you decided to eliminate this program, this rebate thing? Danny, don't you need a motion for that?
They included all the recommendations.
All the recommendations, but that would include.
Include.
Which include eliminating,
The rebate.
Yeah, 3 days are leaving.
just wanna make sure.
Square foot rebate. But doesn't eliminate tiered water.
Possibility.
Yeah, it could be worked out at a later. They will connect Miss Ashley.
Ashley said no, send nothing.
No, I said them all, it's right.
But that's good, that we, that we don't wanna have a big debate at the city council meeting. We wanna take something very clean.
Yes,
Right.
and that's where other committees are very helpful for fine tune stuff.
If we can keep Mike from getting up for the door.
I know, man, you owe me I won the bet. I did that last one in 3 minutes.
You did.
You said I couldn't do it.
Okay, do it again. Okay,
Times on the phone.
I do.
solid waste update.
Okay.
Steve.
We got another load of dumpsters coming in 2 weeks. We'll start replacing the ones that have bad bottoms.
Did you look into this high school?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Are all of those the board?
Yes, we got the 4 yarders come in.
Okay,
We're gonna put those in the businesses first. Eventually, I wanna have 4 yarders throughout Central. Yeah, we do some different more.
This makes sense, cause it's gonna be less times they have to be done.
Yeah, and then once we get our brush truck back, we're gonna clean around the dumpsters. 6 feet in each direction, the rest of it's on. That's what it's supposed to.
also, Steve, it was recommended at the retreat that I think it was Diane, was it? No. Veronica recommended that we have cleanup day.
Yeah.
In Alice events. So can we get that organized?
I think it's.
Yeah, we're gonna start organizing that. I told her we'd put a roll off in one area
Okay,
and they can just dump into that roll off. And if people want to haul stuff on trailers, that one day we will charge it.
So I talked to him after the meeting, I have a dump trailer, but I'm gonna use one to do that. And I asked him if we could just, if I could just go dump it out at the recycle center.
Recycle,
Then
okay.
that way I could go back and get a second load in
Yeah,
the same day, if I.
we'll wait for fees on that.
I'm gonna make one.
And have anyone been by the convenience center and see the status of it?
I was. I did. buy that
Are you
the other day.
impressed?
I'm pretty impressed with a lot out there. It's cleaned up. It looks nice. I walked around with, I don't know the young man's name, but,
Are we gonna prove the stick?
I don't know his name, the guy that was tending the facility.
Yeah.
Teddy?
And is that it, Ted?
Yeah.
He was real cordial. He was, had a lot of good information. And, we walked the whole thing, you know, including, he talked about the chipper, about how the chipper was down, then they got it back up. That the area, right now, when I was there, it didn't look like a dumping, so. Even though a guy came in with his trailer and he dumped some stuff, it did not look like a dumping facility.
Yeah, they really.
The only thing I might have been a little confused on is. And I'm not the one running it, of course, but the placement of the dumpsters. They just looked scattered.
Yeah, well, we gotta do that to be able to hook the truck up, because we get them too close together,
Right.
it's hard to get them loaded back.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I
And
didn't
then
ask
there's
that question.
people room to drive in between them. Stuck it.
Right, but it did. It looked really good. I wish the fence looked as good as the yard did.
Well, we got the gates replaced, we're not working the fence next.
How much money do we make out of that place? Seriously.
Do we make money?
I'm not sure.
I doubt if you make money.
No, I mean, okay, let me rephrase it. How much money do we bring
I
in?
mean, I wouldn't know how you answer that.
Probably almost all people have a water bill and dump it up.
Yeah, there's very few that have.
Very few that have.
That's- you count on it.
It's
I
so-
don't use contract. I just,
But this
contractors should have to pay. I mean, because
they,
well, they should have to. I'll tell you right now, and gotta choose my words wisely. I know of a couple of contractors, I know of some specific material that did not make it to the convenience center, and I paid him for haul off. Now, whether his whoever he subbed to take care of that material didn't do their job, he didn't do their job, whatever, but yeah, contractors should have to pay because that disposal of that material is built into what he charged.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff you find in the alley with construction, for the contractors.
Oh, I know, I found my porch in the alley, I'm telling you, I know what my porch looked like, it was a radius beam. It was a radius beam, and I found that radius beam in that alley. And I mean,
Sometimes the drive-by code enforcement's on a truck, making contractors remove everything from their dumpster back into their trailer.
And they charge you for it, but they're not gonna pay to get it done, so they just, you know.
And I like the ordinance the way we have, I mean, the way we run it now, like, my dump trailer, I can't dump at the convenience center. And it makes sense, it's logical, because if I dump once at that, in one of those dumpsters, I'm gonna fill it
know
up.
the whole thing.
And so it's not good for the community, so I have to drive close when I dump.
Yeah, once the trailer gets so big, they gotta go.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that, I think we need to stick to that, but I do agree, we've got to stay on contractors, you and I talked about the one that cleared those lots on G. And then they just drug all the stumps in over there by your dumpsters.
Yeah, it is, I mean,
Bad contractors, you have to come back and clean that mess.
Kathy talked to them, they haven't got it yet, so Maverick get on them again.
other than that, I would just, my personal opinion is I would open the doors. I would open the doors. Just open the doors and let them come in and dump under supervision, charge the contractors. Me personally. We as a city are paying for the stuff that's hidden beside the dumpsters. It's costing us anyways. I would just open the doors, let them know that they can come in and dump. Period.
Without showing water bills, that's it.
That, yeah, and that's partly the reason why I asked about how much money we're taking in.
2501.95 since July
Very
1.
good. You what have it?
$2,501.95 since July 1 is what we've taken in at the convenience center.
Basically,
Six months.
6 months.
Yeah,
So,
so I mean, it's,
$400 a month.
yeah, we're not even paying for the guy running.
No.
You know, let alone the fuel that it takes to, yeah, yeah.
Then we let them dump too much there, it costs us more to haul the clothes because of the fuel.
We pay tipping fees and fees.
But
We gotta pay up there.
that was part of my reason for some of the research that I was doing is. we've got the same amount of trash, there's less places to put it. Okay, I mean, that was the wrong analogy to use, thank you, my grandfather, had to reel that one in real quick. It's hitting the ground, we're having to deal with it anyways, you're fixing to get that brush truck fixed. And you're fixing to go pick up all that stuff. Same amount of trash that we have to deal with. So if they had less restrictions to get in and do it, maybe it would help. You know, it couldn't hurt. I mean, if we're paying for the county to come dump, I'm gonna pick on the county for a minute. But there was a dumpster online not too long ago. That was just double overfilled. And Level Up Construction came in and cleaned up that mess, and it was not their mess, and it was a homeowner's mess. In 20 minutes, I found name, address, and telephone number of the people that dumped it. I did not put that online, but I found it. It's findable. But they came in and they cleaned it up. But the homeowner, whenever they called the city, said, we're gonna charge you $50 if we come out and clean it. You know, I think on some people are just lazy and they ain't damn thing you can do about it. But I think if we could open that up to where there's less restrictions for people to get in there and get this done. Your guy might be working harder. At the end of the day, your single guy might be working harder out there at that facility, but it takes enough obstruction out of the way.
Well, that's one of the reasons with our photo enforcement. They get the opportunity for community service, and we've talked about having that community service be for alley cleanups and things like that to help out Steve's crew. That way, he'd have to have somebody with driving the roll off and everybody else filling it up, or the truck or however. I mean, because if it's supposed to be community service, what better way to make it than a service to the community?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, there's another issue going on there, the county residents also attack, I don't use the word attack, our dumpsters. And they overload our dumpster. I see them on commercial every morning when I go to my bus. So I don't know how we can stop it. So
You gotta figure out how to stop them, but until we can stop them, we gotta do something with the trash.
yeah, well, that's true, but they overload us.
Oh, I know,
They
I agree with you,
and-
I agree with that.
Burden on this, on
Well,
Steve.
the person, they're Tuesday every month, it's free dumping, but they still choose to throw it
Do
down.
we market that to them?
Yes,
We do.
it's on all social media. I say it every other Monday on the radio. I've put it on the webpage. It's even,
People just don't care.
They choose not to.
Could we do it, change it to just every Monday? Instead of first and third, trying to remember which time I could come, could we just say every Monday? That way the county folks know on Mondays.
That they can come and dump it.
That might help, just a suggestion. Cause I forget,
I had
whether it's the
two
first
verses.
Thursday or the
There's
third.
over 1,000 mattresses.
Yeah, I don't know, did we have a bed bug infestation? Did somebody have a
we can't
mattress?
figure it out. We can't figure it out. Every year we dump 700 mattresses.
Well, I know
on
on
it.
a lot of it comes on the college.
A large percentage of it is our kids that are in college. When they leave them in the apartments.
Right.
And unfortunately, not every property manager knows them all. Some of them just. The kids.
They're not, they're to the,
And we have it in our rental agreement that the tenants are not allowed to put large items beside the dumpster, but everybody.
Over around Yucca is, the alley around Yucca.
and every year around income tax time, that's the first thing people buy is mattresses.
Get a new bed.
Mattresses are expensive to buy.
Mattress toppers, they save your mattress for a long time, they really do. You don't wanna get out of bed.
And we get the tips through the website on illegal dumpers. And very few of the ones that they actually catch are illegally dumping. I know one that we were able to cite because they were actually a county resident. But most of them, I mean, I had to go talk to Mr. Rackler about one of them, found out that, hey, they're city residents in the location that they were dumping, but they didn't have a dumpster at their parking.
Well, while we're on dumpsters, I have two questions. One is, you probably know Steve, back you've been around long enough, but the property we're talking about is on Q&A, headed toward what used to be the dump road. It's now blocked off. Well, those tenants in that apartment complex halfway down there, don't have a dumpster, and the reason we were given is because they can't turn around. We finally gave up the fight about it because they're not being charged for dumping. And if we finally do figure out a way to put one now, where those tenants are gonna have a dump fee as well. So they go down to Abilene in the alley, and that's where we've told them to go, because that's where the J told them to tell them. And then they got called for illegal dumping, and they were dumping like where the J told them to go. The other question I have is, people having private dumpsters. This was, I can't find an ordinance anywhere that says a business can have a private dumpster, that they can put a chain in the lock. I can't find that in.
Well, they've always, I'm not sure about the ordinance, but they've always been adopted in the business, or even you can get a private dumpster at a costume. And you can lock it, but you have to pay a higher rate.
I don't see that in ordinance. That needs to be an ordinance somewhere, because
I'll have to look.
I don't see anywhere in ordinance that you can lock it. And I can't see that being anything but a nightmare if they forget to unlock it on the day it's supposed to be dumped.
Yeah, they don't dump it, I mean, they don't lock it.
Like the one, I'll give you an example, the one that was recently put in for Sand Barbershop. It's got the plastic lids. So rubber lids, whatever they're called. I see people all the time cleaning that thing up and throwing their trash in there anyway. So now that dumpster is gonna be, which was brand new, damaged in less than 6 months. And it's because that chain's across the top of it, and people are just going to get that.
How many trash trucks do we have running? Three. Three? How many do we have in inventory?
We got 7 altogether.
7 altogether.
We get it, well, I actually have 4 down, which we'll pick one up today for them.
And that's not including the brush truck.
No, that's not.
Actually, no.
Okay.
Is it? I had something that I was gonna put under other business section, but it has to do with solid waste. Should I say it now? Or wait?
You can say it now.
Say it now.
Okay.
But we're on that subject.
Okay, so I think that at some point in time, and Sarah's got new software that I think would assist with this, is that we should start talking about a different process to get that trash to Clovis instead of hauling that up there one dump truck at a time.
Several years ago, they looked into a transfer station.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, because at some point in time, that is gonna get the best of us. Having one trash truck drive all the way to Clovis, it fills up, drive to Clovis, comes back. That takes a lot of time, takes a lot of personnel. It's very hard on that trash truck to do a 45-mile round trip. That could cover a lot of alley space in that 45 miles.
Well, actually, them trucks aren't intended to drive on the road like that.
Okay.
They're intended to stay in town.
Exactly.
But we have no choice.
Exactly. I think we need to start, even if, yeah, even if it's premature, I think we need to start looking into that. Getting you the trash trucks that you need, more importantly, getting you the personnel that you need. I don't know, I'm assuming you're understaffed.
We are with 3.
Okay, so those, we want to clean up the city, but you can't ask for miracles in that regard. If we had a better system, we probably wouldn't mind if county people dump trash. It would be, our whole area is cleaner, you know?
How often do they have to go one trip a day? Do they fill up?
They get about 3 loads.
3 loads a day,
3
they're
or 4 loads a
driving
day.
close.
Yeah.
So they're putting 130, 150 miles a day. Just to dump.
Just to dump.
Most of the time they're in the alley and.
They're shipping them like
10
hours, 10 hours.
Mike bring up a good point, because Ms. Austin, since she's been here, have been trying. Transfer station.
Let's use a different term.
Let's see.
Requested, you know, she's been trying about having a transfer.
I think it's more of a why than.
And now it's a crime.
There you
I think that Sarah is always, every time she goes to Albuquerque or Santa Fe, she sees that transfer station in Fort Summer. And that's her model. And the thing is, regardless of the adjectives I use, she have been crying about it. I need to get a transfer station over here. And I think that maybe we ought to, this committee should recommend to the city council that on the next iPad, we need to put on there a transfer station, make it a high priority.
Yeah, they gotta be a high priority
It's
because
not been slow.
It's way down, it's down at the bottom and we need to bring it up.
When they did research on it, it's about $1 million to get it.
That's not that.
That's
I mean,
not bad.
when you're talking ICIP,
But I mean, you know, Steve,
you wanna pay for that one too?
no, Steve had this unique way of saying, but that's what that's what the iPad is about, is trying to get the money from the state, and this state is running out of money, and running with money, they have a lot of money. And I think that's a major issue that we should bring to the citizens of this community to talk about. We start.
Doesn't this waterworks program address solid waste as well? It's gonna give us some direction as well,
Yep.
some numbers.
And the truth is, if we look at it, when we look at it, I guarantee you, we're already paying for it.
We pay
Because
for it.
it's gonna catch up
There's a
to
lot of money.
The tipping fee alone costs us what, $30 a ton?
or by the time we have to replace
Isn't that
a
right?
few of those trucks,
Hold on.
you know, pretty
I
much.
think it's $30 a ton.
It went up.
It went up,
I do think so too, James, just a second.
41 or something, didn't it?
so I
how
think.
many tons are in one trash?
They're all different.
On average. 5?
Probably 5 to 8.
And how much do
5 to 8.
how much do those trucks cost?
What's that?
How much does one of those trucks cost?
225,000 was the last one.
So if we run them, if we cut their life by 5 or 6 times because of the way
We have
we're
less
using it,
trucks.
it's,
Yeah, if you just had to go locally with dump that, you would save those trucks for years.
And if we had, let's don't get away from the point that we need to look. Seriously start discussing a transfer station. Bring it up.
You bring it up, I'll.
Next 4 years.
Okay,
Move it up to 5 years.
on that list, Sarah, we can,
What
what is it? I think that's just,
And I know
I
this
think
is
it's really.
yeah, I think it's important.
Good one.
very
And
optimistic.
it'll clean up the city overnight too, one way.
The personal dumpsters.
Okay.
And the roll arounds. Yeah.
Solid
What
waste,
is it, have we done a study on what the trucks would cost to implement them in Portales?
I don't think they have. But then it go back to if people don't roll it out.
If they don't roll it out, they ain't got no place to put the trash in, you know?
My kids live in Lovington, and in Lovington, they have to. move.
Yeah. I think we should,
The
I think we
concern,
should
the
research.
concern here is, in my opinion, the concern here is Lovington doesn't get the wind we get. That trash is gonna be all over the streets. When you roll them out on Tuesday and they don't come by till 11 o'clock and that wind picks up at 9.
Or dog nuts, you know.
How does 801 Howard or Alton Terra do it?
But it
They have the trash bins
They
and
have
one
all
house.
the cards.
Yeah,
Also Terra.
I have
They
4 of
also
them that
put it
I
up gated too.
acquired when my wife was running Altatera and they got rid of the previous, I've got 4 of them. And they've got a nice bungee lap over. I've been, oh my gosh, I've been using them for, how long? Has it been since Sherry was over there? It's been a while and I use them at my house. That's where I put my bag trash. My dogs can't get into them.
But do you
I
roll that?
I roll them out to the back. I keep one in the alley. I keep one in the alley.
I keep them in my shop, but
I
keep
have
them-
one at the car, I have one at the car lot. And then I load up there and then I make that trip once a week to the dumpster. I've not had a single problem.
but do we have
I've
the
just seen
capability of
them
picking
in
them up?
Lovington and they don't. go-
Do what?
We don't have the capability of picking them up.
No, but
You'd have to
that's,
change. those.
that would,
Change your direction.
well, has anybody looked into that?
I don't know.
Maybe we should kind of study that a little bit, see if that might be a viable option, especially if we had to buy a new truck, let's update our system, upgrade our system. Whatever. I mean, it'd be worth looking into. Couldn't do the whole city at once.
Maybe we'll do something, well.
I had one with Lois, I was. It was never big enough for the household trash.
I don't guess.
That's the problem.
We had the capacity.
Once they just run, it goes on.
We had the capacity.
Mine are.
It's hard enough to get a pickup the first time.
Part of the problem is like that my kids have too.
I actually have some, mine have a. Play them.
Okay, well,
So that you can do it.
can we move on? Can we move on? Solid waste, appears that one of the things coming out of that discussion is nature that we would like to see direction going towards our transfer station on our next capital outlay request. And numbers, I think numbers are there. I think if we started multiplying how many times we go to close and how the tipping fee is, I think it's $30 or more a ton.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, and so I think it'll pay for itself, personally.
Where does it, just explain to me the process, let's say we put one 2 miles out of town. How does it get in?
What they usually
What's
do
the
is,
process there?
well, some got different ways. They got like our roll-offs. And that truck calls it roll-off, but they got semis that, like a semi-trailer
Okay, so you just put them in a larger
and larger container.
device,
they
but
roll it
one
off.
that's meant for highway travel.
Semi.
It still would go to closed landfills.
Yeah,
It's still there, but we would have
It's just a different amount of trips.
It's just the trucks wouldn't have to go so many times.
But we would, and as a part of that process, we'd have to have the type of vehicle to haul.
You know, and I,
And at this point, you can start implementing, which is something that I've talked to Sarah and them about, is we could start implementing some separation of trashes like cardboard.
Oh, I see.
You know, we're paying the city of Clovis to receive our cardboard. When we could be getting paid for the cardboard that we recycle.
If there ain't much money, it's like.
I've got a business here in town that, well, I mean, there might not be much money, but it'll do two things. If it saves us tonnage. There's a savings in money and you get a little bit back. After it's shipped. There's.
I know right now we can't do the recycling with the plastic and stuff, but there's a lot of, I'm one of the people in town that used it a lot. I mean, I take 4 or 5 trash bags a month to the convenience center and to the recycle for plastic, and I hate that we can't do that anymore, it's just we'll just take it. But I'd like to see us explore somewhere to go back with our recycles.
Because the cardboard you gotta have available
Yeah,
to be able to.
In 2022, Clovis's tipping fees went up to $42.45.
42.45. So. Look, right, all the tonnage we go up there
He said 5 to 8 on one truck.
trucks. In a year,
500 truck every day.
we can save that, we can save that.
Plus wear and tear on the truck,
Truck.
plus hourly wages for driving that truck up there so many times. You know, you're tying up, you're
Then
tying
you miss
up.
on an hour and a half of dumping because you
gotta
gotta
wait
wait
in
in
line.
line. You can't go in just because you get.
I believe Sarah,
Right.
Sarah, could y'all come with a comparative to see what it costs, how much we would save?
It'll take a little while, but that's definitely something I should do.
And I won't use the term you're crying for,
So from July 1 to, looks like February 20th, we made another payment. They paid over $300,000 to tip it close.
300,000.
Then like Chief says, once the wind gets so high, they shut the left.
Yeah.
Say that again?
Once the wind gets so high,
Uh-huh.
they'll shut the left.
So when you are full and you need to head to Clovis and it's shut down, you just don't pick up any more dumpsters until you can go, right? So there's part of, people always asking, why aren't they picking up my trash today? Part of it's because, especially this time of year, you can't go.
Because I think once the wind hits.
That period, hold that period.
Would we be able to go to that in one of these situations? Because the one before summer you drive through.
February 20th.
I think once the wind hits at 35 constant, you shut it down.
I know the transfer station in Rio Rancho, you drive inside. It's
Yeah, that's the way it's on the.
one before summer, so you wouldn't have to stop for wind.
No,
You could keep track.
Okay, I'd like to keep this on focus that if we spending 300,000 from July to February, just think about what we could save if we had our own convenience center. And so I think that's worth looking
It
at.
is, for definitely.
And I
There's
can
still
also
gonna
make
be
it,
cost involved to all that.
I can also make contact with Ports Owner,
Okay,
see how
Yeah,
many we
let's do it.
I
Check with the, I've been looking
So
at,
between the 2022,
what read.
21, 22, we paid over $900,000 to dump our trash.
You could cut that in half by doing it with a full line.
$450,000.
That's kind of why I went out.
Each
Each year.
Yes.
So that would get.
Well, it would still be, it would still be the same. I mean, you're not gonna cut down your tonnage.
No,
So all you're gonna do is.
They say the travel.
Whether the vehicles travel time.
The 300,000 say that we're gonna be there. The 300,000.
You're still gonna pay.
Pay the 300,000, but you want to go up this last time.
I hear a lot of people
And
run
Steve,
there.
talking to save money.
Okay, so currently we paid over $61,000 in fuel. Last year we spent over $105,000 in fuel. And that's just in solid
I
waste.
think there might be some.
105,000 in what, sir?
That's.
Yeah, so that's
Came up
our
today,
maintenance
this is
bill.
something that I've been looking at.
We can, okay,
So I think there might be some good, might take some load off of you. Yeah, and your guys.
you guys are missing out on some real good knowledge here. 61,000 on fuel. And we could save a lot of money. That's the
Yeah.
point. And we're gonna save on the tonnage cost, but we can save on the fuel and the maintenance.
Right.
I think we will save on the tonnage costs if, when we get it to that area, if we can do something with cardboard recycling.
Well, I'm.
I got 35 pounds of cardboard out of my house in 1 month.
And a lot of those transfer stations, they do separate.
They separate it.
I know rearrange.
Right.
They even have glass, plastic and garbage and construction. They
Right
all-
now,
they have- they-
tire for a trash truck, $1,000. $1,000 for a tire for a trash,
Anytime.
8 tires, just what,
Man, I'm glad I got out of the industry.
We spent over $70,000 to date for maintenance alone.
This year.
Much again? Over 70,000.
you got 10 tires on the truck, so.
Oh, wow.
I talked to Albertsons and Walmart, and they get their recycle trailers. That blue trailer that they put in the parking lot, they get it from the city of Clovis. But we can find out where Clovis got that, I mean, even if we just, at this point, gave away the recycled cardboard and glass and.
There's a savings there.
Yeah,
There would be a
savings because it's taking it off of that truck and not going to the landfill.
You're talking about a baler. Do you have any idea what a baler cost?
Not right off.
Joe was
doing the research.
Me and Joe was looking into that. Joe should have some figures on the baler.
Okay, so because. You know, if you're going to this project and it's gonna be million, whatever, I think a baler would
It would
be
be included.
It'd be-
insignificant,
it'd
yeah.
be- Yeah, I think the transfer station, the way they set up that way. And I think we just need to look into a transfer station. I would think that we ought to, as some of us on the committee ought to go up to Fort Sumner and talk to the people.
Which that's not, I would recommend if you're gonna look into them, not only with some, but with the Rio Ranchos.
Rio Rancho have one.
And Alto,
Rio Rancho has.
I'll show you a picture of Alto's here in a minute.
I've been in Rio Ranchos a lot because my kids would remodel several. of them.
That's our current solid waste budget. The bottom part's water, doesn't pertain to this, but the top part is including the landfill and the solid waste budget.
We're no doubt already paying for that. Processing center, we just don't have it.
We're just.
Yeah, exactly.
And it might take several years to recoup it, but I mean, with.
It'd be a pretty quick.
with 2 or 3 years.
So I think that's we're not ready to go to the council with this, but we are ready to pursue the investigate. And I would recommend that maybe we should, Steve, can you arrange a meeting for us to go to Fort Summer?
I could call them and see.
Okay,
That's show Oscar and Mike, that's Alto's recycling center.
absolutely. Well,
I mean, things are
clean, they're dressed right, dressed. There's,
And you're not allowed to pull in there if you're.
and that's kind of what I was asking about on the trailer, just come around so you can see it.
You don't.
It's a clean facility. If you were to go on the street view of that thing right there, my gosh, it's clean. It's clean, you see a guy in the back of his truck dumping stuff.
Here's the funny.
I got insurance.
Here's the funny
I'm looking at
thing,
the back of it, well, never mind, he slid it a bunch.
here's the funny thing about this project we're embarking
Of course,
on.
they get their facility.
We have already talked about this 10 years ago.
No, this is Alpha.
Exactly 10 years ago,
Something.
almost 15 years ago.
Here.
And we made a mistake
Here's.
by not putting weeds. I mean, the city made a mistake by not putting landfill in the community. And we should have. Now we're reaping what we made a mistake on. So it's time for us to rescind that, find a solution. Cause we've been talking,
Nice and clean.
under Mayor Davis.
That stuff.
We had that issue, we should have solved that problem then, we dropped the ball. So we can bring it back up and encourage.
You need a motion?
Yeah.
I can't, but I'm,
I don't know. Can we get a motion?
to investigate. maybe
Yeah,
transfer
absolutely,
station.
yeah, I can make a motion for sure.
Yeah, wait, second.
Can we have a motion to investigate the possibility of budgeting in our process of recycling transfer center? All in favor?
Yes.
Fine. Yes,
Opposed? Okay, motion carried.
that's the street view of that Alpha. It's, I mean, it is.
Sarah got her crap, baby.
Whining.
Quit whining.
I will always fight for the
That's a good fight. Good fight. Okay, capital outlay. Now, since you bring up capital outlay, I ain't gonna say anything, I'm gonna listen to this. And this is capital outlay project. Next year. Pretty sure.
Gotcha.
That's
So
next week.
ICIP, it looks like capital outlay, we got 500,000 for the Line Street tank rehab, which we'll be able to rehabilitate that tank and intake the new water project. And we'll also have that tank up to date with our storage needs. That's a 3 million gallon tank. I think the 6th, is that today? Tomorrow, it's last day before she can veto it, right? So-
Right, tomorrow, so
Right.
next day.
So so far, we're still on track with that. And from what Mayor Miller told us, we do have the option to get that money on an emergency tendency if it comes through, so we don't have to wait all the way until December to decide. So, Water Trust Board, same thing. We're still on track with that. Ashley's done an outstanding job. Just wanted to provide an update. They came to her with 2 things saying that we were not compliant in. She was able to say, actually, here we are. There's our information. So we are not, we're back off that list. We did have to ask for a waiver because our audit's gonna be a little bit late. We should close it out Thursday. So we will be compliant in that aspect as well. That's 15 million for expansion of the well field, property acquisition and construction of any new wells, possibly if we can do that. Another 500,000 is going to be for another, hopefully, expansion and
5 million.
5 million, sorry. Yes. Lots of numbers in my head right now, sorry. So the other 5 million will be for another expansion location, which we do not have at this time.
Which would be a 3 billion gallon elevated tank.
That is what we were looking at.
Yes.
And I believe, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but the engineers have that spec'd out already? Yeah. So that's why we're doing it elevated.
No,
Okay.
yes. That part's very important,
Yes,
storage.
yeah, and that's.
I mean, it's all important, but.
We need to be stored on there.
Right, so you know, we have the 2 Johnson Hill tanks, which is what we use to feed the city all the time, right?
This,
Our line stream is backup emergencies, we have to have emergency reserve. So this third one will allow for an additional 3 million gallons, which we think will help during our peak times. during the
Exactly.
summer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the only thing with that is I'm gonna have to get with them and in regards to where they wanna place it, because where they have it is on the walking trail.
Yeah, that's right.
Here,
Well,
Yeah.
we could just
It's
paint
elevated.
it,
walk
make
under
it
who
look pretty
cares?
with the walking trail.
Right,
It's
that's the
elevated,
only
that's
thing.
shade for the walking trail.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I didn't know if that was gonna be something to,
I mean, we have rotaries in Rotary Park, so I don't know that it would
Is there any possibility, and somebody probably knows and I don't, but is there any possibility of rehabbing that thing?
No,
That's gonna cost us more
That's,
than.
yeah, it's gonna cost more.
Is it ever gonna come down or is it just?
No, it's an antenna.
Yeah,
An
with
antenna.
all those,
So the
all,
city
We have all kinds of stuff, including AMR type.
The
Yeah.
city gets paid, monies from different organizations like AT&T and, those type of places to have their antennas on there, so we do get a little bit of money.
It's not an eyesore.
GBSNA had a provision in their proposal to remove that tank.
So.
There's an AMR antenna that goes back to the wastewater plant up there.
yeah,
That's gonna be an
there's
issue.
no way that we're gonna remove that.
And the only thing it's not an eyesore.
We could probably look at, I don't know how long has it been there, do you know?
Ever since I've been here.
My point is there might be historical funds to at least have.
We'll probably get upgraded.
What is that?
I can't believe we can't rehab it.
We can, it's gonna cost us more
That's
to do it.
unfortunate to rehab.
Yeah. Because they have to come down, they have to clean, like, it was a big process with the Johnson Hill tanks, it's a huge process, and it's very, very expensive, especially because it's elevated.
Like the one, the Johnson Hills, those two tanks out there, that was a deep project of cost.
Yeah.
And to do that would be probably triple the cost.
And that's only one, right?
Yes.
So that's why we decided to go with a brand new one somewhere else.
Now, you said they have already talked about where they're gonna put it, where are they gonna put it?
Walking
the
trail.
walking trail.
Yeah, that came up, what, like a year or so? ago?
Right, and the whole point behind that is to have one on each end of
Each side
town,
of town.
right?
East side of town.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we got all three of them in one location, God forbid a tornado came
Well,
through.
God
it'd be
forbid the
screwed.
Russians coming.
Well, that too. Cannon will take care of it.
Yeah,
We'll be all right.
yeah, we'll shoot it down.
Redneck with a 22, but anyways.
Okay, but every time we talk about these tanks, I don't have to throw my little thing. We are the only community in the United States of America, and I'm guaranteed, I've looked at this, that do not use those tanks to recognize our community. They
I
just,
see your point. You mean as far as like, welcome to Portales?
Welcome to- and I get, everybody laugh at it, but Vaughn, little bitty Vaughn, you drive, when you come into Vaughn, you see the eagle sitting right up there in the spectator. No, we don't.
I guarantee you. Whenever I was driving trucks, I
Drive
went
down-
down to
drive
Walmart
down
Super Center,
Drive
and I
down
looked for a water tank. That is no lie, within 3 blocks of a Walmart Super Center, almost anywhere I went in the country, and I went to a lot, not super, the distribution centers. Within 3 blocks, I was finding a distribution center from a water tank. That was my, and there again, like you said, there's paintings up there, welcome to Portales, the eagle, whatever.
We say with Portales is the gateway to
Good life.
good life. I don't know why we can't put that on the water tank. I really don't understand.
I think-
I understand we don't need to get the Rams.
You know what we can do? We
What?
can definitely look into that and see what the regulations are now.
Yeah,
And if there's nothing against the regulations, then we'll get it passed.
and it's almost like everybody's bragging about the 511, the plane, everybody's
the sign.
bragging, yeah, the sign. They're talking about that sign, that place, and Senator Engel, they didn't even realize that sign was there, and I said, Stuart, I said, they paid, we got that donated, $30 million donated, and the sign is there, so I thought, I said, we need to start recognizing. That Johnson Hill tank, that's a perfect place.
Well, and Melissa's also having a sign developed that there was an accident by MHR where they took out the sign, and so she's gonna have a new one developed because that was a Main Street sign. But that says welcome to downtown Portales.
Okay.
So
Right down.
just to throw that out there too, yeah, we're gonna do another one right around the corner, but I'm gonna look into that for you, Oscar.
Okay, I appreciate
Now,
that.
I'll bet you can do it in vinyl, like sign man,
Right,
Yeah.
without having to use
Without
any
going
type
to-
of paint, which may,
makes it last longer.
yeah.
That's what we did to the sign.
Well, not just last longer, but if you have to get the paint approved by the, EPA and I'll forget about it.
Right,
That would be something that could be done.
yeah, we definitely, let's definitely look into that, so.
That's one of the great things is I'm not gonna be able to go to the Chamber of Commerce luncheon Thursday, because I have a doctor appointment. But I wish y'all would all go, find the time to go to that luncheon or sign up for it. Good, and the legislators will be there and go up and shake their hands and say, I'm on the Public Works Committee, blah, blah, blah.
Thank you for the moment.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yes, tomorrow at 11:45 at the Yam, and it's $15 at the door.
Thursday.
Or Thursday, I'm sorry, but
But you
$15 at the door.
It's better, don't let that, he'll donate that.
Oh.
Melissa corrected me, it is $17 at the door, or if you register now before Thursday, it's $15.
Well, can y'all sign up with Melissa? Mike, can you sign up with Melissa, go to that? Melissa,
Yes, sir.
sign these two up. Please,
Okay.
and I'm sorry I can't be there, but my doctor appointment's at 10:30 in Roswell. And Mike Neal is mad at me, but my doctor will be madder. I know he's not. But anyway, that's every opportunity we get, let's say, thanks to those people.
Absolutely. I know,
Every
let's see, we're very
opportunity we
appreciative.
get, makes sense, and let them know that you are on the Public Works Committee.
Yeah, I think my wife's on chamber stuff.
Oh, okay,
She-
okay.
So we'll probably be there.
Senator Nyberg will be there, I'm thinking, and I know Greg will be, Senator Nyberg will be there, and I think Andrea will be there. No, Andrea won't be there, she will not be there.
And there's only gonna be 3 of them, that's what the radio said today.
Yeah, it's only
Do you
three.
want Melissa to sign you up, or do you wanna get back to us?
Is it on Thursday?
It's Thursday.
I'm finding out right now if she's,
It's on the
Okay.
chamber website.
yeah, she may already have.
If you already have it, we won't double pay, so
Okay.
just let us know.
I did.
Yeah, that was
Steve, have you signed up?
We'll get Mark,
Mike, have you signed up?
No, I haven't signed up.
Melissa will get you signed up, are you available?
But put me for two. Yes.
You
Well,
know,
that'd be appreciated, because that's what we have to be proactive, and I want to give shout out to Ashley, is that right? And to Kelly, those two young ladies are doing a bang job.
Oh my gosh, they all are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
some good additional cards.
And to a resident, I wanna make a comment about a resident here, Mandy Park. She challenged people to take before and after shots of their alley. And she is buying some gift certificates to give to the winners of alley cleanups as a private residence. So
Now,
I like the way she thinks.
correct me if I'm wrong, she's county,
She's kind of,
she's county.
yeah.
She works in the county, but I don't know if she lives.
They're right across the street, off of 22nd and the highway. I think
She's in county.
she's county. Cause I talked to.
Well, the challenge is for the city.
No. I'm emphasizing the fact that she's county and she's actually doing this for the city.
And that's the second thing she's done. Somebody
She doesn't like.
complained
She does a lot. She's
About-
awesome.
about an alley and she went and personally cleaned it up herself. So, anyways,
I do have a question on that and to see if we can, not today, but see if we can do something in the future, and I'm gonna look at you since Steve's not sitting here. That dumpster that I mentioned, that was just overflowing, it was horrible. It was probably 2 to 3 dumpsters worth around this one dumpster. When the homeowner who basically got violated on that, when she called the city said, yeah, we can come do it and it'll cost you $50. And I hear that out on the street quite a bit, that if you call for somebody to come pick up this, and this was a situation, this stuff was fixing to blow
Let me,
all over town.
let me look into that, Tom,
Yeah.
because I don't want that.
I don't think we should be doing that for somebody that's been violated.
Right,
But how do you prove it?
Because you know people are running through those alleys.
Well, I know that.
We get
but-
calls all the time saying our dumpster hasn't been dumped in 3 weeks.
Well,
It has, but.
usually the citizen that makes a complaint is not the one that.
The integrity of this couple, and I'm not gonna mention any names, the integrity of this couple, is beyond reproach. Now, but I do see your point. I do see your point. But that was actually the same dumpster that I said I went up to it and this, if we can do something in the future. I opened up one of those bags, I reached in, I pulled out the bill, and I seen who actually dumped it there.
You could have turned them in to Crime Stoppers.
There's a reward.
There's a reward for.
Not after no reward, but no, I get your point. We do need to get it stopped.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And maybe we need to know more of it. I had no idea I could turn this.
It was posted on Facebook, it was their number and everything, and you can even click on the website and turn in a picture of a plate or your evidence, and an officer will contact you.
That's why I contacted you a month or so ago and asked you how much the fine is for dumping.
Right,
Remember I done that?
we don't
That's
do
why.
fine, but they do Crime Stoppers.
Okay. Yeah, but that person should be highly fined.
Yeah.
And that's why I asked that.
Especially if you're pulling evidence out and they don't live in that area, like, okay,
This bring up a point about, this committee seemed to be, we can be all over the world solving these problems. But I think that the next meeting, we would have the first item would be concerns of the committee member to bring up. So we can get through that and then go through the action item second. Because we can be all over Texas trying to solve Texas problems. We really want to focus on the public works.
I'll put that on there, but what I would like to ask is if you guys can set the agenda, send the items to us,
Okay,
and we'll create it. We need to put it out 4 days before the.
4 days before,
Right.
what is 72 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you at the retreat. We didn't get an agenda out, so we had to shift.
Okay, all right.
So Ashley is the one that gets to do those now, and she didn't know that, so it's not her fault, it's mine. So we will make sure we have those out.
Actually, it's your fault.
He came back what he said earlier.
No, okay, we need, so if you got items that need to be
That you want on
discussed,
the
that you
agenda.
want on the agenda, get it to Ashley.
If you do it to both of us, one of us will get it done.
And then
Yes.
I like to say, also that the work you guys and comments you guys make are very important to have, because we can make this city. And I just like to get us started on other things other than water in the public work. Public works is larger than water.
Right.
And we need to focus on some of those other issues too.
Right.
And Mike, appreciate you coming. And so what we can add.
This morning.
Well, anyway, so let's focus on that for next time. Get your items to Ashley. And Ashley, really, I wasn't patronizing you. I really meant that. Okay.
So we have a water advisory committee on March 18th at 9 AM. I don't know if you guys want to schedule your meeting after that.
I've got to think about that the other day, like right now, we've run over, if we run over on that other meeting. And not only that, but me and Mike were talking about this last night, what we receive in that meeting. To process, to bring to this meeting, we're not gonna have, I mean, we're talking about mere minutes if we do them back to back.
Need some time.
Yeah,
We need time,
at least an overnight.
Okay, so you want to do it on the 19th like we did this time?
yeah, after the
2 days.
meeting. 2 days would be okay. You said the 17th?
The 18th is when we're meeting for water advisory.
19th, if you want it recorded and stuff, I'm gone on the 20th, so if you could please do it on the 19th.
Yeah, let's do the 19th. Yeah, that'll give us time to process and, even reach out to Oscar or anybody else on on that whole water percentages thing. You know, we were processing what we heard yesterday on the phone last night. Thinking about, how we need.
Shelley's presentations, it was hard to process it just like
Right.
overnight, and I think it would have been impossible to process it back to back.
Minutes, yeah.
That's something terrible.
And-
We've got to get information to people on committees and councils.
Yeah, and thinking back off of what you said is, yeah, what you said in council, all makes sense.
Also, the advisory committee is open tablet in a way because you don't have to worry about, rolling form or anything.
Right.
Right.
And that's why I try to stay out of the company. I said, oh, I don't want to get involved, because I can get. Mike's here talking, but he's also now, we've got a form, rolling form.
Well, yeah, if you had the, Preston here too, you could get close to that.
Oh, yeah. So that's why, but the advisory committee can really advise, knowing the fact they have the freedom to pre-discuss and say things. Where Mike and I can't, and Preston can't, because we're on this committee.
Right.
So I try not to get involved in that conversation.
Okay, so 19th at 9 AM.
At 9 AM.
All right, I will send out a calendar item.
Wait, the city hall is open to 9.
If you text me, I can let you in,
Yeah, we let you in
or
early.
you should
I
have
go
a
to the
badge
back
here.
door.
And you have a badge to go to the back door, yeah.
Yeah, so
Don't
I
you have a
have
badge?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay.
How do you get in the back door?
Okay.
We
I
text,
text her.
He texts me.
Fair enough, okay. I don't have her text, I got yours.
text me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were a little late this morning. We decided to go for coffee.
I forgot that I could go through the back door.
Do you ever plan?
For the advisory committee, usually about 5 minutes before 9, I walk up front and I let people in.
So do we have any other business we need to bring? Sarah, you satisfied with your report?
Yes, so the only thing I wanna say is if you do your, meeting on Wednesday, that's the latest I can do it to get it on the very next council agenda, so it can't be past that Wednesday, so if we need to move water advisory up to Friday. And maybe public works up to Monday, at the next round we can, but I can't have you do it later than Wednesday to get on the very next council.
Okay. Now, we have enough time to get the items we want sent to council this time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have plenty of time for that, yes.
So on the 19th, we'll just have to decide how we're gonna shift.
Yeah.
18th and 19th.
I'm open, Sarah. What about you? guys?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So we can,
Barring
since you're not gonna be on the
any-
schedule, we can do it on the 19th.
We'll do it on the 19th
On
and
the
then
19th.
we'll decide how we wanna do it the next
After
round.
that, we may,
After
yeah,
that, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
that way we have that window to get it into the council meeting right away.
We just have to be careful not to bump into finance.
DZ.
Planning and
P
zoning.
and
laws and
Z's at,
tax.
P and Z's at night, so.
Well, in other business, one of the things, Sarah, I really like the idea that we're gonna look into a convenience center. A transfer station. What are the best term, transfer station.
I think we can do a lot out of that transfer station, and I really do, I know I'm writing this.
So Steve, get us a date, we probably can go up there and look at it. Mike, you welcome to go with us. If we can get all.
Who's asked myself?
I don't see nobody working out with something.
I tell you, the one that I just shared with you,
Uh,
if you go to street level view, I think it's pretty much unmanned. It's got a little shed there smaller than what we have. It's got one guy's dumping his trash right there. It's got an in and an out. I don't think that it's got
It would need, I think it would need to come in.
no, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be manned. It definitely, well, there's a skid loader there for one.
Because nobody's got the thing over it.
Right. That's good.
And I would like to see if we
So,
get to that.
so it's
point,
self-service,
require the
but there's a little supervision there, exactly what we got right now, I don't think we
Like, I
have to.
do with the increase and my trailer's not covered. Right. We have it, it's like that folder.
And these are compacting type.
We're good then. Are we ended?
yes.
Have you adjourned?
If since there's no other business other than that discussion by me, adjournment is necessary. We can.
All right.